It's cool. I'm glad that we have a relationship where we could talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because I've never in my life had a relationship where it's even comfortable talking about stuff like this. I think that me and you have kind of always been that way, and then we've kind of grown into a place where we've been extra good at it, where I think we both respect and understand that we had lives before this.
Yeah.
It's not a healthy thing for people to be possessive. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that are listening that are in a situation like that, it's not healthy. Jealousy is healthy.
Yeah, it's a normal feeling, right? Like, if you were to tell me something that makes you feel jealous, that's happened. But, like, I'm able to be like, okay, like, I feel this way, and I'm going to let it go because there's no reason to hold on to it.
And there is a difference between possessive and jealousy. Jealousy is smart. Jealousy is healthy. Mm-hmm. Jealousy makes the other person feel like you care. There's benefits to it, right? Mm-hmm. Healthy jealousy. Possessive is, I don't trust you. A lot of times it's because of that own person, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm not going to allow you to do anything just in case.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
The two situations, one of them you go out and do stuff that I get jealous about because that's just how I feel. Yeah. And then we deal with it. That's normal. Mm-hmm. But the other part is I can't deal with my own jealousy. So you're just not allowed to go out anymore.
Yeah.
And like, or whatever. We're talking about extremes, but that is when it's controlling, right? Because I think people confuse that. Like, you know what I mean? And me and you don't have the perfect relationship. We definitely don't have the worst relationship. And I think we're definitely not in the middle either. We're definitely closer. We're closer to perfect. I'm just kidding. We're about as comfortable as I think we can be. And we have normal conversations, and we fight like people that fight, and we love like people that love, and we communicate like people that communicate well. And there's times where we're terrible communicators, but the effort and the understanding is always there. So when we're getting it wrong, it's nice to know that we're eventually going to get it right.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever feel like that. And so that's always cool. And that's why I feel comfortable talking about stuff like this with you, with anyone else. I would have the same conversation with a stranger.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a resentment thing. It's not a resentment thing is what I'm trying to say. It always reminds me of your friend's wedding, Jess, your friend Jess. Do you remember?
Yeah.
In the church? Mm-hmm. And the pastor of the church said his speech about his wife, remember the wife? Mm-hmm. Like, don't, I forget the full speech. Remember the speech I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
He was pretty much saying, like, don't put your person down with your person kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
like, pretty much always have your person's back. Like,
yes,
no matter
if they're
what.
wrong, then they're right. Until you guys are alone, then you can tell them about how you felt.
Right.
But in front of everyone else, you're a combined force. So you don't want to be in a place where you're talking crap about people or like talking and putting someone else down. You always want to have your person's back. And if you really do disagree what happened, that's a conversation that you guys should have when you get home alone and figure it out.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree. And I think that, like, one of the things that is so helpful with me and you that I really enjoy, that, like, we're at a place where we're more aware of things. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time we can figure out, like, if something is triggering us, it's really not about the other person.
Yeah.
And so we're able to kind of, like, set that aside and be like, hey, you know, like, this is how I felt, but you know what? It might be because of this, this, and this. And it allows for that other person to be there for them instead of feeling like you're blaming that person for making you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that that is, like, a huge key in a relationship, is to be responsible for your emotions and why you're triggered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think? Let me word my question the best way as possible. Why do you think that I think a lot of time people think if they have a history of being in an unhealthy relationship, mm-hmm. then that's just who they are. People think that. I don't think that. But people think this is how I date. This is how I feel. These are the types of relationships I attract. Mm-hmm. What would you say to someone that maybe is looking for something different? Because would you agree, yes or no, do you agree that our relationship is the healthiest relationship that you've had? Yes. Would you agree with that? Mm-hmm. So and I would agree the same. And so would you agree that you've had relationships that were unhealthy? Yes. Would you agree that you've had relationships that were neither? They weren't unhealthy, but they weren't healthy either. They're just kind of like blank relationships?
Yeah.
Would you say you've had a few of those?
Mm-hmm.
I have for sure. So what do you say to someone who has a habit or a pattern of being in really bad relationships? What kind of advice would you give them? And while you're thinking about that, which I do want you to think about, because I think that you're the perfect person to give advice on that. Mm-hmm. If that was the question to me, I think the person having bad relationships should consider having blank ones, if that makes sense. And what I mean by blank is the middle one, right? Because there has to be a feeling out period. You have to be able to figure out if you enjoy your person. That's kind of the relationship that we were having when we were friends. It was a friendship. Friendships fall in the blank category because it's not a relationship. It's not inappropriate and negative, and it's definitely not like the healthiest relationship because it's not an intimate relationship. It's somewhere in the middle. It's a friendship. And so I think I would ask people to consider having a friendship, and just getting to know people for who they are, even the people that they find attractive. It's so hard, and I'll speak as a man again, to find a woman attractive and to be their friend. It's really, really hard. But there's good things in that because there's much more. There's attractive people that are not good people, and there's attractive people that are really good people. And flip that. There's people that aren't known to be attractive that if you just got past that initial thing, and when I say attractive, it's that person's beliefs, right?
Right. Like
maybe someone that's attractive to me is unattractive to someone else. But if they got past all that, they get to their personality and they are very attractive and it changes. Have you ever watched a TV show like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette? We talk about that a lot. And like, I'll speak from my personal experience. There's the episodes, The Bachelor, which is when the girls are on there.
Yeah.
And you ask me, like, what do you think of that girl? I'm like, she's not that pretty. Like, she's not that great. Like the first night. And by episode 4 or 5, I'm like, damn, I really like her.
Yeah.
She became more attractive because she was nice. She wasn't unattractive, but there was other hotter girls. You know, and personality matters after a while. That's my point. Is like, if you figure things out both ways, attractive people become unattractive, unattractive people will become attractive, and everywhere in between. Yeah. But if you don't take the time and you just react off the first instinct, day one, we'll call it, you're never really going to get good results. You're not. Yeah,
definitely. I agree with that. And back to your question, like what advice I would give like a female, or I guess anybody, right? That's like in a relationship that
anyone that has a habit of a similar type of relationship.
Yeah. Do you kind of mean like abusive, or do you just mean like not healthy, like in the sense of like it's causing
however you interpret it, whatever their pattern is? I keep getting the same guy. Maybe that's how they feel. Okay. No matter what, this isn't working. I keep getting the same kind of guy. Is it me? Is it them? What would you say? If you were a counselor, friend, relative, doesn't matter. What do I do?
So my beliefs, and this might be kind of going a little bit too deep, but
no such thing. I'm in too deep.
Right? Is I believe in energy. Like I believe like everything typically operates on energy. Every person has energy. And so kind of like what you're putting out, you're getting back. So if there's somebody that is, say in a situation, let's just give an example, like a girl that's like, hey, you know, I'm dating all these guys, like they're just using me, like they say they like me, and then when it comes down to it, like they're cheating on me, and they lie to me, and all of these things, and then I leave them and I end up with another guy and he's just doing the same thing. It's more so, I think, like about the person, like what are you putting out in energy? So like, what are you thinking about? Like, are you in your mind thinking like, hey, I'm worried that people are going to cheat on me? Like, am I worried that men are going to cheat on me? And so basically like, you're kind of bringing that to you. You're putting that signal out. I want men to cheat on me. Even though you're not really like saying that, you're focused so much on that, then that's what you're attracting to yourself. Yeah. Instead of thinking of the things that you do want. Like, I want somebody that, say for instance, I can count on. So then focus your energy on like, what would it feel like for me to have a person in my life that I can count on? And the more that person kind of like brings that in, the more that they'll attract that.
I think that makes sense. I think the common factor, it's kind of exactly what you're saying about putting out the energy. Mm-hmm. Let's say you leave here and you go to, let's say we're not quarantined, right? Let's say on a regular day. Yeah. You leave here and you go to Pickwick and you get into a fight with the clerk there because they're being rude to you. So you get into a big old fight at Pickwick you get in your car and like, that dude was an asshole. Mm-hmm. And you drive on down to Si Senor to pick up your order. And the Si Senor person, you get into a fight with them. An argument, right? Things aren't going well. You feel like they're rude and there's all this chaos, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're like, screw this place. I'm never coming to Si Senor again. Mm-hmm. And then so you drive home with the food and you realize you need to pick up the mail. So you stop, let's say we have a post office box, and you stop at the post office, and they're rude to you there. And they're just like, da 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 da, and like a big old event happens at the post office, and it's crazy. And then you're driving home, and then you get home. Were those just like everyone's, like, was the world crazy? Who was at all three places?
You.
Yes. And so if everything is going wrong everywhere you go, what's the common factor? You. Right. You are. Something you're doing, going back to attraction and the energy you put out, something you're doing isn't working. So I don't want to hear those people, whoever they are, we've all done this at some point, right? Yeah. I don't want to hear those people going, nobody loves me, nobody likes me, everyone's dramatic, it never works out for me. You can only control you. Right. You can't control everyone else. But if everyone else has a problem with you, you're the factor in everyone else. You're the one that needs to change. You need to do something different. It goes to dating, it goes to friendships, family. If your whole family hates you, either your whole family's crazy or something's wrong with you. You need to fix some stuff. And so I think people have a hard time because we want to be prideful, and we want to be proud and do things that are good, right? Yeah. It's really hard to go, what can I change? But I think it's very, very important that people, specifically that are dating and attracting the same types of people, what can I do differently? And maybe you'll luck out the way that I lucked out in a lot of ways, right? And maybe you'll end up with someone as awesome as you, and that sees the good part and goes, hey, there's this kid who's just partying and he's like wild and he does work, but if he was given the choice, he probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? He probably would do this instead, or do these hip hop songs and go drink vodka with his friends and do stand-up comedy and just act, you know what I mean? Which is what I was doing when we got together, let's be honest. I did have a job, but I also was doing those things, and I definitely prioritized things. I wasn't the nicest. I was good. I had a good heart, right? Maybe people listening to this, maybe you'll luck out. Maybe you'll find your version of that, right? But you can't rely on that, right? If it wasn't you, it would have had to have been me. If there was a version of my life that worked out without you in it, it had to have been me, right? I got really, really lucky to find you. But if it wasn't you and someone told me, hey, your life ends up fine, and you don't even know Laura in this universe, I would go, oh, it must have been me. Yeah. So you can't rely on that person, but I think you can try to identify ways to be better. And better does not mean there's something, you don't take something bad and make it better. Sometimes you take something good and make it better. So don't think of it as a negative thing. People think if I need to change, then something must be wrong. No, change is good. Sometimes it's good to better. Sometimes it's better to greater. Sometimes it's greater to magnificent and wonderful and whatever bigger word you could think of than that. But you have to change. You have to change because everyone's always changing, and you have to make yourself better. Yeah. And you have to be able to identify things you can be better and not take it personal. Yeah. And if you're someone that isn't attracting the right person, then find something small and grow from there. Find something that you can change and see if that helps, and just keep doing that. Change one. That's how mathematicians solve problems. That's how the corona people are figuring it out. They don't just get it right. They try something and it doesn't work. Hey, I came up with this solution. It didn't work, but part of it worked. So we'll keep that part and change these. Oh, now 2 parts worked, but it still didn't cure it. We're even better. That's how it's process of elimination. Yeah. Can you imagine if one fucking idiot just sitting there like, doesn't cure corona, and he's just dropping like little cures? Still doesn't cure corona. Dang it, it's not cured now. It's never going to work. It didn't work the fucking first time. You're doing the same thing, right? You have to be creative. You have to understand and grow and add new things. Keep the things that are working, add new things until eventually you get the right recipe. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that clip, click on this link right over here to subscribe to this clip's channel. Or if you want to view the entire conversation, go ahead and click on this link over here to view the entire podcast. Bet you on the next one, guys.